Harihi Om. Shruti Smruti Purananamalayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram Yasya Nishvasitam Veda Yo Vedebhyo Khilan Jagat Nirmametamaham Vande Vidyatirthamaheshwaram. Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya Yata Isha Shivatama Shivam Babhuvate Dhanuhu Shivasharavyayata Vatayano Rudram Rudaya. That is the Ruk, the second Ruk. The first Anuvaka, Namaste Rudramanyava Tota Ishave Namaha Ityadi, it consists of Ruks. And the second Anuvaka, Namo Hiranyabhave Ityadi, that consists of Yajur mantras. The difference between Ruk mantra and Yajur mantra is well known. However, I am just reminding, having a specific meter, the mantra having a specific meter is called Ruk mantra, Ruk. And the mantra which has no meter means prose it is. It is Yajuhu. Meaning what? A mantra which is in the form of a verse is Ruk. A mantra which is a sentence, not a verse, that is Yajuhu. Yajurveda is primarily consisting of Yajus, but a few Ruks here and there will be there. So the first Anuvaka is entirely made up of Ruks. And the Ruk will have 4 lines, 4 padas. And in the mantra, 2 lines. Lines 2, but padas 4. So the first Ruk we have seen. Now we are looking at the second Ruk. Yata Ishu Shivatama Ityadi. You may pay attention to the Padacheda, the word after word after word, Pratipadam. So that when the meaning is explained, the padas will be nicely fitting into the sentence. Yate Ishuhu Shivatama Shivam Babhuva Te Dhanuhu Shiva Sharavya Ya Tava Taya Naha Rudra Mrudaya. Adi Padachedam. Avi Padamulu. Vitilo, so that is the Padacheda, and they are the words. And so in this, you can easily figure out the sentence. So, there is an address, Hey Rudra. O Lord Rudra. As I explained earlier, whether we get prosperity or adversity, it may apply to the entire society, or it may apply to the family, or it may apply to the individual. Whether it is prosperity or adversity, all of it arises from that higher power called Ishvara. Everything comes from Ishvara, everything. An atom is moving in a particular way, the nucleus and the electrons going around it, etc. That movement is also because of that higher power. That is the non-living. Living, you take a small ant, it takes a small tiny step forward only because the higher power has willed it like that. That you have to see. That is something to be seen. You cannot see it with the pair of eyes, you have to see it with that the eye of inner knowledge, the inner understanding. Everything happens because of that higher power. The same idea is conveyed in a slightly different language by scientists also, by cosmologists and other biologists, etc., physicists. They say the same thing with a slightly different terminology. They say, for example, I remember, a small thing is the way it is because the entire universe is the way it is. Like why a particular butterfly is flying in a particular way, in a random way, why it is flying like that? It is so because the entire universe is the way it is. That is how they connect. So there they did not use the word Ishvara, but the idea is the same. The same idea is conveyed by all the scientists also. Therefore, that higher power is directing the entire universe. Every single phenomenon, small and big, of the universe is happening by the will, if you can call it so, of that higher power. This recognition is called bhakti. That is the bhakti. And then you accept. Once you get this recognition, acceptance of things as they are comes easy. And the name of that acceptance, without any psychological resistance, is called Sharanagati. Sharanagati is not wearing yellow clothes or some such thing. This is called Sharanagati. Anyway, this I have mentioned earlier. The point that I am trying to make is sometimes the will of that higher power, the supreme will, may not appear favorable to us. In fact, it appears very unfavorable. Like bacterial infection. Who likes bacterial infection? It makes you suffer. One gets fever and gets bedridden, and so many important works are pending to be done, and he is unable to perform. He is unable to even get up sometimes. So who likes bacterial infection? Or even viral infection for that matter. So that kind of the expression of that supreme will, a very unfavorable expression, unfavored expression, whichever way you want, very unfavored expression of that supreme will. The name of that expression is Rudra. And that Rudra, so Rudra is not going to be favoring anybody. Rudra is the one who strikes. Therefore, that striking power of Rudra is presented in terms of personification. It is as though a person is standing there ready to strike. That kind of personification is part and parcel of Vedic hymns and Puranic stories also, where a principle of the universe is personified. Here, the malevolent aspect of the supreme will is being personified as Rudra. And so here Rudra, that is the address. So you do have a shaft, an arrow, Ishuhu, an arrow ready to strike. And but we have a request, we have a prayer. The arrow has to be released by mounting it upon a bow, dhanuhu. Okay, so we do have a prayer. Your arrow, te ishuhu, ya te ishuhu, whatever arrow you are holding with you, ready to strike. Te dhanuhu, whatever bow you have, the bow you have to release the arrow. Our prayer is this arrow and this bow may be auspicious to us. Now, how the arrow and the bow are going to be auspicious means they will not be used against us. That is the auspiciousness. You don't expect anything more from the arrow and the bow. It may not be used against us. The Tikakaras, they write, they add one more thing to that. Namely, this arrow and this bow may not be used against us, but may be better used against our enemies. Now, we are Vedanta students, so there are no enemies for us. And the only enemies we recognize are Kama Krodhadi. Therefore, we say only this much. Forget about the enemies part, you say this much. Whatever arrow you have, He Rudra, Yate Ishuhu, Shivatama, it must be the most auspicious to us. Means never ever to be directed against us. Okay? that is the Shivatama. And then Te Dhanuhu, the same prayer applies to the bow also. So your bow may never be aimed or targeted against, it may never be aimed against us. So your bow also should become very auspicious and kind of a blessing for us. So that means now Rudra standing there with arrow and bow, not to use at all, then why should he hold them? For alankara's sake, for decoration's sake, you keep them. By all means, you keep them. Like Kodandarama, Rama with a big bow, not to be used against us. And but then there is a beauty when Rama holds the bow. So people want to look at Rama together with the Dhanuhu. That's why Kodanda is the Dhanuhu, and therefore they want Kodandarama. Sitarama is okay, but Kodandarama. Similarly, the Kodanda is only Alankara. Similarly, Shiva or Rudra may hold this arrow and bow as an Alankara. And then it is not just one arrow that the archer would have. You may expect the archer to have a bunch of arrows. And these arrows being single pieces, they will get disturbed here and there, scattered. To avoid that, these archers, they carry one quiver, a container, a cylindrical container, a kind of a cylindrical container in which all these arrows can be put. Like this golf clubs bag, something like these golf clubs are put, the golfers carry this bag and all the clubs are put in that. Whenever needed, they pull out. And this where they carry the golf club bag, where they carry, generally the golfers themselves don't carry. They employ somebody to carry it, but somebody has to carry it. He will carry as a backpack. You may notice that. Nowadays everybody is carrying a backpack. But the backpack which these people carry normally on the road, it is carried, it is tied to both the shoulders. Whereas the golf club bag, it is not tied to both, only one shoulder it will be hanging. And this quiver containing all the arrows also, it hangs on the back only from one shoulder, preferably the right shoulder, so that the arrow can be pulled out with the left hand. Chalo. This quiver wherein all these arrows are contained is called Sharavya. Sharavya means wherein all the arrows are kept. That is the quiver. The word quiver has a different meaning, to shake, that is the verb. But in the noun form, it means it can also mean shaking, the noun, but another meaning is this container having the arrows. That is also we see, means the devotee visualizes that kind of a quiver on the shoulder of Lord Rudra, and so when he sees it with all those arrows protruding, coming out of it and protruding, when he sees it, the devotee would want that quiver also should only bless us, should not become a source of shafts released against us. Okay, Sharavya. Suppose this is the personification. Now you do the depersonify. So what is Rudra now? Rudra is the malevolent aspect of the supreme will. And what is the arrow? That is the bacterium or the virus which hurts the living beings or the people. What could be the bow? The bow could be the epidemic-like thing, the spreading, the contagious nature, wherein the bacteria which is elsewhere will be coming and attacking you. That could be called the bow. And then what is the Ishuddhihi or Sharavya, where all these arrows are kept? That could be the culture or the impurities that people throw here and there. Food is thrown and other things are thrown. Water remains as a puddle. all those things, they act as culture for the growth of bacterium. And so that could be considered as the Sharavya. There is every reason to look at Rudra as the bacterial infection. The word bacterial infection is scientific, but Rudra is a kind of mythological, you can say. As I told in the earlier class, in the very first Anuvaka of the first chapter of Yajurveda, the word Rudra comes, and Rudrasya Hetif Parivo Vrunaktu. The prayer is, our cattle should be spared of this weapon of Rudra. Now, from that there is a hint. The hint is, it is the cattle which become sick or get infected. And from the cattle it comes to the humans. So the prayer is about the cattle, because they are agrarian people, the Vedic people, and therefore they wanted their cattle to be hale and healthy. That is there. So our cattle should be spared from your arrows, O Rudra, from your weapon, Hetihi weapon, O Rudra. Hetihi can also mean violence. Bhavasadhano Heti Shabdaha, violence. Weapon is a karana vyutpatti. Bhavasadhana Heti Shabdaha. When the meaning of the verb is taken, then it becomes violence. The violence that is imparted by Rudra on the cattle may be avoided. That is the prayer. Therefore, these prayers, particularly about Rudra, they point out in an oblique way, maybe it may not be directly, kind of hinting way towards bacterial and virus infections that hurt people very badly. So that may be spared. We may be spared of that kind of suffering. Hey Rudra. Naha Mrudaya. Naha us. Mrudaya, please protect. Please make us happy. So spare us from these weapons of you, from your arrows. Spare us from the violence that you can cause, and thereby make us happy. Now you look at the whole Ruk. Hey Rudra, te ishuhu, your arrow, ya te ishuhu, whatever arrow you have, sa, when there is ya, you have to put sa. Shivatama, most auspicious, babhuva. Babhuva is the lit, the past tense. There is a general rule. Lit, lung and lung. All the three are the past tense verb forms. In Veda mantras, wherever you find them, make them lut, make them lot. So babhuva means bhavatu, lot. Lot could be a prayer. Lot could be a command, or it could be a prayer also. So babhuva understood as bhavatu. May it happen. Instead of happened, it is not happened. May it happen. That is the prayer. So, te dhanuhu shivam babhuva bhavatu. Your bow may be auspicious, naha, unto us or towards us. Then the ishuddhi or sharavya, the quiver, may be auspicious. So, taya means with that quiver, naha murudaya. Hey Rudra, with that quiver, please make us happy. How is he going to make us happy with the quiver? Suppose he hands over the quiver to you, what will you do with it? So the point is, let there not be any contagion. Let there not be any spread of these painful bacterial forms, etc. So you have to understand it in general terms like that. So the mantra is over. Every word you should be able to connect now. Yata ishu shivatama shivam babhuva te dhanuhu shiva sharavya yata vatayano rudra mrudaya. Then the next ruk, the third one. Yate rudra shiva tanura ghora papakashini tayanastanuva shantamaya girishantabhichakashihi. In reciting this mantra, one or two precautions I suggest. So, tanura ghora papakashini, it is dirgham. So when it is dirgham, you have to make it dirgha. You should not make it harasva. You should not say it in a hurry. You make it dirgha. And then more often we hear another mistake. That is abhichakashihi. They pronounce like that. Abhichakashihi. When they pronounce like that, they made a mistake already. They pronounced it as visarga. Ramaha, Harihi, like that. Sometimes it could be dirgham following dirgham followed by visarga. Like Gaurim, Gaurihi, Gaurihi. E dirgha followed by visarga. That is not so here. It is not abhichakashihi. It is abhichakashihi. He, hakara, ikara. The pronunciation is obvious. If it is just visarga, it is kind of pronounced as halanta hakara, abhichakashihi, halanta hakara. But here it is not halanta hakara, it is ajanta hakara. Ach, ikara is the ach. So abhichakashihi, like that you have to pronounce. Because that he is very important characteristic of Lot to Madhyama Purusha Ekavachanam. When you make a prayer, in that prayer, when you address Rudra and make the prayer, you have to use the second person, Madhyama Purusha, and singular, that he is the second person singular. And if you mispronounce it, then the meaning is gone. Therefore, you may take that precaution. Then padas, you look at the words. Ya te Rudra Shiva Tanuh Aghora Apapakashini Taya Naha Tanuva Shantamaya Girishanta Abhi Chakashihi. These are the words. Okay. While saying the words, I am using the appropriate swara also. You may notice it. But you pay attention to the words. I say this swara, which is fine. Then I am avoiding the Vaishtanas. I don't want to confuse unnecessarily. So again, address. First look at the addresses. How many address words? Sambodhana. Hey Rudra, you can recognize it. Only Rudra will be there. But here you add. Like Rama, O Rama. Like in English, O, O-H-O. In Sanskrit, He. Hey Rudra. Then one more name is also there, Girishanta. Hey Girishanta. What is the Hey Girishanta? Giri is the mountain peak. So then Shanta. So Sha means sleeping or living there. Living, not sleeping, living. Something like bedroom community. A bedroom community doesn't mean just they have bedroom in which they sleep. They have a whole living place. So that is the idea. Okay. So the one who lives on the peak of a summit, Girishanta. That is the address. Now how to understand that word? You see, in India, generally they construct a temple. When they find a top of a summit, they put a temple there. That is how you find the famous temples on the top of mountain peaks. What could be the idea? The idea could be two ways. One, it is a very idyllic spot, very beautiful to look at. By the time you reach the peak of a mountain, it is very beautiful all around. That is one beauty. That is a good enough reason to put a temple there. The second reason could be, to reach there, you have to leave the world behind. The city life or the town life with all its problems and confusion, worries, concerns, etc. All of that, for God's sake, for a while, you give it up, you leave it behind. You will come back to it anyway. Leave it behind and go to the summit where you don't have the worldly life. You are one with the nature, with the beauty of the natural beauty, not the artificial beauty of the townspeople. They make decorations and make everything beautiful artificially, not that beauty, natural beauty. In artificial beauty, Jiva expresses. In the natural beauty, Shiva expresses. Therefore, that is the idyllic spot where to put a temple. That is the second reason. There could be a third reason. In reaching there, not only you have to give up the worldly life, but also you have to strive, you have to put in some serious effort. Of course, if it is walking, then it becomes a physical effort. But then physical effort has the mental earnestness behind it. Without this earnestness in the heart, how can you walk up a summit? Who will walk up a summit? Unless there is a very important reason. So that becomes tapas. Therefore, in reaching the place and visiting the Lord there, you have already performed austerity or tapas. Just reaching there. You need not do anything more than that. Just reach there to have darshan of the Lord. That it becomes the tapas. So these are the three reasons which I can think of for putting a temple on the summit of a mountain. That is how we have the Lord of the seven hills in Andhra Pradesh, the Vaishnavi Devi. They may call it Vaishno, I suppose. Samprasaranam kind of thing happened. So Vaishnavi Devi, that is in Jammu and Kashmir, the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. And so, like that, many temples are there. Vindhyachalavasini, that is another name for the Universal Mother, who abides on the summit of the Vindhya mountain. Like that, Shabarimala Ayyappa. So like that, that is the summit. Therefore, all such forms of God which are abiding on the summit all over India, every one of those forms of God can be addressed as Girishanta. Hey Girishanta. Once when I was in Anaikatti, Arshavidya Gurukulam, Pujya Swamiji was there, and in the satsanga, this mantra discussion came, and Pujya Swamiji asked me, how do you explain the word Girishanta? I studied Vidyaranya, they call it Vidyaranya, it is Sayana Bhashya I studied at that time. So Sayanacharya has written, Girau Kailase Bhavati, something to that effect. The one who lives on the Kailasa Giri, that is the Shiva. Shiva with Parvati lives on the Kailasa Mount. That is how it is believed. That is the Puranic story. That meaning Sayana gave. Sayana lived around 12th century, 13th century, I suppose. And that is the meaning he wrote, and that is the meaning I said. Pujya Swamiji said, that is fine, you can say like that. But use the Puranic story to explain a mantra. Do you consider it as the right thing to do, the most appropriate thing to do? Probably not. Because mantras are a ruk. A ruk is considered as old as 10,000 BC minimum. The academicians, the linguistic researchers have put the ruk at 10,000 BC. If any, it is earlier than that. Some of them put it 20,000 BC, 30,000 BC, like that. That is the ruk. Any Purana which talks of Lord Shiva residing on the summit of Mount Kailas, etc., it is much later. Shiva Purana is considered not even 1,000 years old by academicians. It must be some 700, 800 years old. It must be. Therefore, use this text to explain that text. How is appropriate? I said, yes, Swamiji, correct. Then, fortunately, there is another bhashya called Bhattabhaskara Bhashya. He gave us a way out. And so, Pujya Swamiji pointed it out. The way out is, Giri is Meghaha, the rain-bearing cloud. Now I tell you, rain-bearing cloud and Indian subcontinent have a very precious, pious relationship. Because it's a tropical country, and most of the agriculture is dependent upon the rains, upon the monsoon. Most of the agriculture, even today. Of course, they have irrigation projects, but irrigation projects need water in the river. And where from water in the river comes? It comes from the rain. Therefore, irrigation dams or no dams, the entire agriculture is dependent upon the monsoon. And in India, when it rains, they rush into the open, people. And rain is considered blessing coming from above. That higher power is blessing us. And rainwater is as pious as Ganga water. Therefore, the Megha, the rain-bearing cloud, which is high above in the sky, that is the Giri. And the one who abides in that Giri is the Shiva. Hey Girishanta. That meaning, it doesn't follow a Puranic story which came later. That can be taken directly, that meaning can be given. I prefer that meaning. Out of the two meanings, I love that meaning. There is only one small issue there. Giri, Girishanta Samasa, it's okay, that is fine. That is settled. Then there is another meaning, Girishanta, which is again dependent upon the etymology of the word rather than Puranic story. Those of you who know a little Sanskrit must be knowing Gir Shabda. Rephanta Shabda Strilinga. It means the word. The word. So, Gir Shabda, when a particular pratyaya follows, the E, Dergham becomes a Hrasvam. That's why if you look at the Shabda, Gihi, Girau, Giraha, Giram, Girau, Giraha, there it is all Hrasva. First one is Gihi, Dergha. Then coming to the third case, Gira, Girbhyam, Girbhihi. So when Halanta Pratyaya is, when Hal Pratyaya is following, Haladi Pratyaya is following, so it becomes Dergha. When Ajadi Pratyaya follows, it becomes Hrasva. That is how this word operates. Now come to the Saptami Ekavachanam, the seventh case singular. Giri, Giroho, Girshu. So Giri, in the word, one who abides. That is the second meaning. This is also pointed out by Bhattabhaskara. So the one who abides in the word. Like you want to know about that supreme will called Ishvara, you go and surrender to the words of the Upanishad. Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. In those words, Shiva abides. Not that the words are Shiva. The word is not the thing, but the word is the pointer to the thing. Therefore, the words of the Upanishads are the source in which the Lord Shiva resides. Therefore, Shiva is addressed as He Girishanta. In this word Girishanta, one small issue is there, namely the Saptami Vibhakti Pratyaya E is not disappearing, it is still sitting there. So this is what is called Aluk Samasaha. Okay? Like Kanthe Kalaha Isya Saha Kanthe Kalaha. Like that, the Saptami Vibhakti singular Pratyaya, the suffix, normally should go away, but in this case it doesn't go away. So that way you can look at that word, He Girishanta. See, I put it in my own word, there was the word in the beginning, and the word was with the God. This kind of a statement you see in one of the renderings of Bible, maybe Lucas or whatever. So Lucas or maybe Matthew's. Therefore, this connection between the word, a particular word, and the truth. So the truth is nameless and formless, but still a name or a form can direct you towards that. So you abide, O Lord, you abide in that word. That is the meaning of Girishanta, like Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, Satyam Jnanamanantam Brahma. These are the words which do not contain the truth as such, but certainly have the power to direct your attention towards the truth. That is how Girishanta. So two addresses we have understood now. Hey Rudra, your form, Ya Te Tanu form, body is form, Tanuhu, both forms are known. So Tanuhu, Tanvau, Tanvaha, like Vadhu, Vadvau, Vadvaha, that is the Shabda. So your form, whatever form it is, may be auspicious, may that form be auspicious towards us. Yate Rudra Shiva Tanuhu. Now, as I told you, the Supreme Will has two aspects. One is benevolent, the other is malevolent. Now we are looking at the non-malevolent form, Aghora, not the Ghora. Ghora is frightening. No, we don't want to deal with the frightening form. That form which is frightening, which strikes, which punishes, which visits as an adversity, we don't want that form. Generally, all adversity has its origin in a wrong deed committed by us earlier, what is called papa. So, we have performed a wrong deed earlier, you may call it sin if you wish. So, the sins that were committed earlier revisit us in the form of an adversity. But then that phalam, karma phala, has to be granted by that Supreme Will. Supreme Will has to grant. Without Supreme Will granting, you will not get the karma phala. That is the understanding. It is like you work in a factory, you get your salary. The salary is given for the work done by you. There is no doubt about it. The connection is obvious. But then the salary has to be granted by the general manager with a signature. He puts a signature. The entire roster with the paycheck list, all of it will be presented before him. He goes through it, scans through it and puts a signature. Then every one of the names there in that list, they will get their salary. So same thing you can understand in the case of Supreme Will also. You get, see, you reap what you sow. So whether it is punya or papa, you get it because of your earlier actions, but by the granting of the Supreme Will. Therefore, when the Supreme Will grants adversity as an outcome of the earlier wrong deeds, that will is presenting itself as malevolent. Papa Kashini. It shows the papa, it brings out the papa done earlier. Also, that is the Ghora, the malevolent form of the Supreme Will. We don't want that. Our prayer is that should be avoided. Therefore, then what form you want? We want the benevolent form, Aghora. Apapa Kashini. Apapa is Punya. So that which presents the beauty of Punya before us, that form we want, Hey Rudra. So, therefore, that is the way we have to pray. We have done some mistakes, some wrong things we have done. They are about to strike us. Kindly avoid that striking and make us live happily. Yate Rudra Shiva Tanura Ghora Papa Kashini. Then that form, what form it is? Aghora, the benevolent form. Shantamaya, which is the most auspicious. Tama is the most. Sham is auspicious. So by that most auspicious benevolent form, with that form, Naha us, Abhichakashihi means make that form face us, looking at us with benevolence. Means we want the Supreme Will to look at us with the benevolent looks, presenting the benevolent form before us. That is the prayer. Now, all the words are explained adequately. You can, as I read the mantra, you can relate to every word now. Yate Rudra Shiva Tanura Ghora Papakashini Tayanastanuva Shantamaya Girishanta Bhichakashihi. That is the mantra. Tayanastanuva, Taya Shantamaya Tanuva. With that form, Tanuhu, Trutiya Tanuhu Prathama Ekavachanam, which is there in the first line, with that form means the third case. So Tanuhu, third case becomes Tanva. It can also become Tanuva, where that Ukara did not disappear, it remained. This is what is called Uvangadesha. Yangadesha, Uvangadesha. There are two Adeshas. When the Uvangadesha comes, it is a Tanu Uva Tanuva. Okay? Uvangadesha, the Pratyaya is A. Ta is the Trutiya Ekavachana Pratyaya. Only A remains. Tanu A. Make it Uvangadesha Tanuva. Suppose you make it Yanadesha Tanva. Okay? Here it is Uvangadesha, not Yanadesha. Therefore, Tayanas Tanuva. With that form, make us, bless us, make that form directed towards us. That is the Abhi. Make that form shine, Chakashihi, towards us, facing us, Abhi. So that is the mantra. Very nice. Next Ruk. Now we come to the fourth Ruk. So now we are making some good progress. Yamishungirishantahaste bibharshyastave Shivangiritratankuru mahigumsi purushan jagat. Again Girishanta is the address. But before that, look at the words. Yam ishum girishanta haste bibharshi astave shivam giritra tam kuru ma higumsihi purusham jagat. That is the pada. Here there are two words of address. One is girishanta, another is giritra. Both mean the same. One who abides in the rain-bearing cloud as the most pious life-giving water. That is Girishanta. Giritra, one who abides in the rain-bearing cloud, or in the words of the Upanishad, and protects us. Tra is protecting. Okay? So both mean the same. More or less the same. Some protection is the extra meaning that came in the case of Giritra. Okay? Giraus Thetva Trayate. Abiding in the Giri, that is the cloud, he protects us. Then you can say Giri Saptame Ekavachanam Aluk Samasa, one who abides in the words of the Upanishads or the scriptures. Giritra. Both are address. Then we have come back to the arrow. Yam Ishum Haste Bibharshi. O Shiva, hey Rudra, you are holding this arrow in your hand. It is something like, so Shiva has, the Rudra, not Shiva, Rudra has prepared a new virus and ready to hurl it at the society. So maybe the virus originated in Wuhan, China, but then a new variant has originated in London. So a new virus or a new bacteria or a resistant bacteria is prepared, made ready to throw it at the communities. Something like that. So you have to look at it like that, you know. Otherwise somebody is standing there with arrows to hit at you. That sounds very metaphorical. If you should not take these things literally, if you take literally, that sounds not very nice. Okay. So, He Girishanta, you seem to hold in your hands, haste, an arrow to strike, astave, asukshepe, to throw it, ready to throw it, for the sake of astave chaturthi, for the sake of releasing it. You seem to be ready to strike like that. Huh? So, He Shiva, He Rudra, kindly make that arrow harmless. Make it auspicious to us. It is like he is holding the gun ready to fire, and so you pray, make that gun auspicious to us. How to make the gun auspicious to us? So, reverse the barrel of the gun and remove the bullet and put in the bag. That is the only way to make the gun harmless to us. Auspicious means harmless to us. So, He Rudra, please do that. Kindly do that. So, suppose you release, what happens? We people will be hurt. We will be made to suffer. So please don't hurt us. Please don't cause injury to us. Himsa, don't do himsa. Please don't put that kind of a violence upon us. And then not only we people, Purusham, people, members of the family, so Jatava Ekavachanam, members of the family, please don't hurt. And then other members of the community. So the prayer is about to come that in our village nobody should get hurt. In our nation nobody should get hurt. So Asmin Grame, Asmin Rashtre, like that prayer is going to come in the same Rudradhyaya. Therefore, anybody in our family or in our community, may anybody be hurt by that arrow which you are holding in your hand ready to release. Please withdraw it, make it auspicious to us. And then Jagat, our cattle and other animals. So people keep animals, some cattle. You see, cattle means not necessarily cows. Some people keep cows. But that is not the only way. They keep buffaloes and they keep goats, sheep, and some people keep alapek, some camel-like animals. If you go to Arabia, they keep, not alapek, apalak I think. Camels they keep. Camel is the herd, they keep it, camels. Camel give milk also. Like that. Yak they keep in Tibet. Lama or some other animal which is camel-like, some other groups they keep it. And then they keep chicks they keep. Poultry, yeah. All these animal husbandry related thing it is. They are always vulnerable for some infection or the other. Bacteria or maybe mostly viruses. These animals are very exposed. In the nature they are safe, but once they are domesticated, they are now exposed. It seems like that. In any case, our animals and birds, etc., which we rear, may not be hurt. Please spare. Our family members and community people and also our animals may be spared by your arrow. So that covers the entire mantra. So He Girishanta, Yam Ishum Astave Haste Bibharshi. Whatever arrow you are holding in your hand, like holding with the right hand, pull it out from the quiver and hold it with the right hand. The next step would be mount it on the bow and release it. So please don't do that. So make that arrow which is ready to be released auspicious unto us. Tam, that arrow, Shivam Kuru, He Giritra, Ma Himsihi. please don't injure us, please don't hurt us. Hurt whom? Not to hurt whom? Purusham Jagat. All the people of the family and community, please do not hurt, and all the other living forms which live with us and which provide some living to us also, please don't hurt any of that. This prayer, obviously you can see, the prayer has its origin in agrarian society. You can see that Purusham Jagat. It is always agrarian society means Purusham Jagat. Whereas in modern times, the city people, the city dwellers, for them only Purusham, no Jagat. Jagat is moving around living forms. That is the Jagat. Gacchati iti Jagat. So they are the Jagat, they are the Purusha. So they don't pray about cattle and all that. They don't even see the cattle. The city people, they don't even see the cattle. They see only the milk and milk products. They don't see the cattle. So very interesting. Industrial revolution has made such a situation possible. Therefore, that's why in these prayers they don't seem to pray for the welfare of the cattle. Some of the modern prayers they do, like Venkateswara Swami Prarthana or the Puranic prayers. I don't come across any cattle mention any time. Generally, maybe here and there some exception could be there. But if you go to Veda mantras, it begins with cattle. Rudrasya heti parivo vrunaktu. That is how it began. O cattle, the violence that is wrought by Rudra may not touch you. They are praying because for these agrarian people, cattle is their life. Cattle is everything for them. And therefore, the cattle are always present are brought into the prayer. You should see the beauty of that. Purusham Jagat. So, I am concluding this mantra. Yamishungirishanthaste bibharshyastave Shivangiritratankuru mahigumsi Purusham Jagat. One small point, himsihi is pronounced as higumsihi. That is very unique to Yajurveda, where an anuswara, when followed by shasha saha, Oshma varnas there. So sha, sa, ha, aspiratory words, I suppose. You may check it. So when these letters follow the anuswara is pronounced differently. So, like in the case of Girishanta, the anuswara is pronounced as a nakara because takara is following. Whereas in the case of himsihi, because sa is following, the anuswara, him, is pronounced as higumsihi. For the purpose of pronunciation, you may say higumsihi while chanting, but when it comes to meaning, drop that gum. Don't worry about that. Drop it and say himsihi. So himsa, violence. Himsihi, be violent. Ma himsihi, please kindly don't be violent. That is the meaning. Next mantra, Shivena. This is the fifth ruk. Shivena vachasatva girishacha vadamasi yatha nasarvamijjagada yakshmagum sumana asat. Once again, the address is Girisha. So you are looking at the very similar addresses with minor variation. Girishanta, Giritra, Girisha, all same. In all cases, Sayanacharya says Kailasa Giri. In all cases, we prefer the other explanation, the other two meanings. So, He Girisha, Tva Acha Vadamasi. This Acha, Dirgham in the mantra, but when you break it, it becomes a Hrasva. So let us look at the Padacheda, Shivena, Pachasa, Tva, Girisha, Acha, Hrasvam it is. In Pada it becomes a Hrasva. In the mantra combined, when the words are mixed and pronounced, it becomes dirgha. Vadamasi yatha naha sarvam it jagat ayakshmam sumanaha asat. These are the words. Very simple. We will finish this mantra. Hey Girisha, O the Lord, abiding in the rain-bearing clouds, or abiding in the sacred words of the Upanishads, Tva Acha, we want to gain you. Acha means praptum, to gain you, to reach you. You see, the supreme will, where is it? Is it in the seventh heaven? It is in the seventh heaven, but then it is in you also. Now gaining becomes recognizing. You gain the thing by recognizing it, because it is already with you. The Shiva is already in you. Only you have to gain by recognizing. So to gain you, hey Girisha, to gain you, Tva Acha, to gain you, Vadamasi. So Vadamasi means we are praying. We are praying. So Vadamaha ityartha. Vadami, Vadavaha, Vadamaha. So let us pray unto you in order to gain you. Okay. So generally people pray to God in order to gain something else. They don't pray to gain God. Suppose God comes and sits with you, you will be troubled also. Therefore, let God remain wherever He is and give us what we want. This is how prayers go. But this prayer is somewhat different. Here the goal is to gain the Rudra. We want to gain you, the supreme will. We want to gain you. In order to gain you, we pray unto you, using the most auspicious words, Shivena Vachasa. You see, prayer or no prayer, whatever you speak must be Shiva. You should say Shiva. You should not. Why should you speak inauspicious words at all? Harsh words, words which may cause pain to the other person, words which are meant to hurt the other person. Such words we should not even speak at all. Therefore, of course, here it is prayer. So, with words which are auspicious, means here also Girau Kailase Shete Tishtati iti Girishasayana Bhashya. Anyway, so we want to gain you, and therefore we are praying you with auspicious words. Auspicious words means words in the form of Veda mantras, or words in the form of prayers glorifying the supreme will. Using such words, we are praying to you. Praying how? What is the essence of the prayer? By virtue of which prayer, yatha, by virtue of which prayer, or by virtue of which praying, because of that act of praying, sumana asat, you be favorably disposed towards us. Having a favorable disposition towards us. You see, you look at, suppose you are working under a boss. What do you want? You want the boss to be unfavorably disposed towards you, or favorably, or neutral? You want a favorable disposition of the boss. Boss, whenever he thinks of you, he should think favorably. He is a good person, he works well. Like that he should think. Suppose the boss thinks, oh, he is a useless person, like that, then he will throw him out someday. Therefore, please kindly think of us favorably. Sumana asat. Asat is again, lung has to become lot, okay? So, sumana bhava ityarthaha. Naha, all of us. Naha sarvam. Don't worry about vibhakti, vachanam and all that. Towards all of us. All of us means, you see, all these prayers, it is naha, not mama. You can see in the entire Rudradhyaya, we will see how it will develop. Always it will be Naha, Vedic prayers. Like Gayatri Mantra also, Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Not Mama. Mama is mine. Naha means us. So, in the prayer, there is an expansion of the heart. That is the Naha. Therefore, all of us, it means indeed, certainly. All of us, we should remain without any disease, ayakshmam. You see, the refrain, the one topic which is coming again and again is roga, disease. So, pain, that is the prayer. So, that's why I am presenting Rudra as bacteria and virus. So, the invisible it is, the invisible. You cannot see it, and therefore you cannot protect yourself against it. If it strikes, you are done. And therefore, that is how the prayer continues. And in fact, I would say the COVID-19 is, if it is the Rudra's weapon, then the vaccine is also Rudra's blessing only. Both are Rudra's blessing. So, all of us should remain healthy without any illness or infection or disease, ayakshmam, asat. So that will be possible only when Lord Rudra is favorably disposed towards us. Sumana, asat. So that should happen. In order that may happen, we are praying unto you with auspicious words. And in that prayer, once again, all of us, Naha, all of us, the family and the community, and Sarvam Jagat, and all the cattle. In modern times, for the city people, what cattle is there? Therefore, they have to say, our dog should be healthy. That is all they have to pray, so that we may not be obliged to visit the veterinary doctor. The dog clinics are there, so we may not visit them. Our dog should be healthy. That is how they have to pray. Sometimes they may keep a cat, so our cat should be happy. But in these prayers, it is coming from agrarian mindset. It is all about our cattle and our poultry, etc. should remain without any infection. Yakshma is roga, disease. So without any disease, they should remain healthy. And you be kind towards us. Spare us from your weapons of destruction. He Rudra. That is the mantra. So I conclude by chanting the mantra. Shivena vachasatva girishacha vadamasi yatha nasarvamijjagada yakshmagum sumana asat adhyavocadadhivakta prathamo daivyo bhishak ahigishcha sarvan jambhayan sarvascha yatu dhanyaha. We will do this mantra in the next class. Oh.